What's going on, y'all? BigBossFabo, man. I'm back again with a video. I'm actually doing a reaction to France 24 and CNN covering the topic of the introduction of the Olympics. So pretty much the ceremony, portraying the Last Supper. They pretty much mocked it, and it's sparking anger amongst conservatives and believers. And with that being said, they detail Leonardo da Vinci's famous fresco, The Last Supper, featuring drag queens in the Olympic opening ceremony in Paris, has sparked fury among some Catholic clergy and far-right politicians. While supporters praised its message of tolerance, the Deputy Prime Minister of Italy, Matteo Salvini, who also leads the right-wing anti-migrant League party, slammed the performance as squalid on social media Saturday. So, man, this is nothing new just in terms of what people would deem blasphemous, mockery, when it comes to, biblical themes or things that are, you could even say, are specifically tied to Christianity or just Jesus himself. So we're just gonna hop into the context of the video, and then I guess let me know down below what you guys think, and I'll obviously provide my commentary as well as we watch. Man, let's get into it.
Well, most significantly, we've heard from the Deputy Prime Minister himself, the leader of the right-wing anti-immigrant party, the League Party, Matteo Salvini. He took to social media on Saturday, saying that opening the Olympics, insulting millions of Christians in the world is really a bad start. Dear French people, it's squalid. Now, he posted this message together with two photos, one showing the apparent drag queen-led parody of The Last Supper, which was seen in one of the scenes during that Olympic opening ceremony. And he contrasted that with the actual image of the painting of The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci, one of the most famous paintings in the world that is located in Milan here in Italy. So clearly feeling that somehow insulted the feelings of Christians around the world. We also heard from other members of Italy's far-right Brothers of Italy party, that's the party, insulted the feelings, clearly feeling that somehow...
Clearly feeling that somehow... I hate to be a stickler and point out specific, like, don't use the word somehow. It's not questionable how that would offend people. You know what I'm saying? It somehow offended them. I just don't. Like, come on, man. The pure idiocy.
Insulted the feelings of Christians around the world. We also heard from other members of Italy's far-right Brothers of Italy party, that's the party of Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Some of the lawmakers, one of them saying, ironically, it felt more like gay pride. It wasn't really the opening of the Olympics. Another senator saying essentially that this ceremony brought shame and embarrassment to France and to Europe. And they also reacted to the fact that Italy's president, Sergio Mattarella, was seen wearing a raincoat, looking rather disheveled when he waved to the Italian Olympic team, in sharp contrast, they say, to President Macron, who was under shelter. But it's clear that the parties of these leaders have in the past contrasted with the French president. And so perhaps it was in that light, but clearly they didn't like that sentiment of what they felt was an insult to Christians around the world, particularly that scene of the Last Supper.
France is going to catch superb flack for this, especially with the Olympics being held there. And it's like the hugest slap in the face in terms of, I think if people are going to separate the, like, let's tie it to Christians specifically, being that, and it's not even just Christians, because all throughout my timeline on Twitter, Muslims are commenting. People saying specific to this, I am Muslim and I'm offended that you would disrespect Jesus. So it's not even specific to Christians. So I'm just going to say people in the world who felt offended, right? Like, this is going to be... because if with the Olympics being a world representation, right? Regardless if you felt offended by the parody display of The Last Supper or not, there's a natural mockery that comes with just like the professionalism that is the Olympics. Like, we shouldn't be having what I would call pure buffoonery going on as some type of intro to the Olympics. When has this ever been done in history? So France is naturally going to catch flack for this, and people are going to be questioning why the Olympics were even held here. You know what I'm saying? I doubt there will be even any consideration for anything for the future here as well.
So the French Catholic Church has come out and criticized that Last Supper parody, which was performed by drag queens, as you said.
Why?
You're near
Just
the
don't get
Vatican in Rome. Have there been other reactions from the Catholic world specifically?
Well, we haven't heard specifically from the Vatican, but we have heard now from those French bishops, as you mentioned. I mean, they started off talking about how there were moments of beauty and...
If you got sense, you will be somewhat bothered, I would say, in a sense of like I said, whether you're separating a belief system or just a professionalism when it comes to professional sports and athletes and, you know, a spectacle that's put on for the world. It's just, why? You're making fun of it on each end. There's no seriousness to this. Drag queens. In my mind, I'm wondering, how did this even get cleared, right? And there's they keep making it about Christianity, but just like I said previously, there's people who don't even believe that are stepping out and saying why. They're questioning it. So that's how you know it's kind of crossed multiple lines, right? To where it's affected people that probably don't even believe in Jesus in a certain way, which I think is a spark to something that they probably don't even realize themselves, but
joy
reporting is all incorrect
during the ceremony, but they deeply regretted what they said was scenes of derision and mockery of Christianity. They said Christians could be hurt by these excesses and provocation of certain scenes.
Keeps making
now,
it
they
Christian.
didn't actually mention that specific scene, but one can assume perhaps that was what they were referring to. We've also heard from across the pond conservative Catholics in the U.S., particularly Bishop Robert Barron, who has a very strong presence online and on social media. He actually posted a video saying that it was a gross mockery of the Last Supper. It was blasphemous and emblematic of a deeply secular postmodern society, saying that it identifies Christianity as the enemy in such a representation. But of course, those are what some Catholic leaders have to say. Others, though, perhaps maybe enjoyed the ceremony, maybe found some portions a little bit hard to understand, but now I guess all concentration on the games itself.
Clown world, buffoonery is what I would say. You know what I mean? Just pure, like, you could call it disrespect, but just purely unnecessary. Like, for what? That's where my mind goes, right? And there's a lot of opinions floating online currently. I've seen a lot of people state, why are Christians always so passive? They never stick up for their religion. You know, the LBGT community never mocks Muslims because wherever their locations or, you know, their establishments, their parades will be burned to the ground, saying that, you know, there's always a form of retaliation when it comes to Muslims. So, you know, certain communities don't dare mock Muslims, but they'll do it with Christianity. And somebody was using that as a reason to defend or kind of insult Christians for not standing up for what they believe in. But if we're talking about God, right, who's all knowing, all loving, or a pure representation of love, what is it in my belief system to go retaliate and, you know, enact violence, right? And this is a hypothetical. Enact violence on a certain group of people or a community. How does that make sense? But Muslims are validated because they fight, they strike back, and they destroy when people disrespect them. But that totally goes against the grain of what God would even stand for. So it doesn't make sense to me. These are just the bots or the people who are just brainwashed online saying things. Muslims fight, man. They burn things down when they're disrespected. Christians don't. Well, that's the fruit of the Spirit. That's the nature of the Spirit that, you know, Christ calls us to have. You know, why would I go and just because somebody in the world is turning up, you're not going to trick me out of my spot in a certain sense to act outlandish just because I need to do it for the gratification of somebody saying, oh, yeah, you retaliated, man. You beat them up, bro. Like, that's just clown world stuff to me. Some people just don't know how to think outside of what the world presents them. They're so worldly minded. And it's just so frustrating sometimes, you know what I mean? Because if I'm called to help others and I think at the end of the day, it's not up to me to try to decipher or try to help somebody understand. Like, through my actions and love and trying to be a better person each and every day, then I can, being able to minister and talk to people. But you can't get through to everybody, man. It's biblical in the sense that some people are just going to be lost and they're not going to hear you. They're not going to listen. They'll get angry when you talk about things that are of the spirit, of the fruit of Christ. So some people are already a lost cause. And another thing I just want to add additionally kind of ties into the point of when people talk religion. Well, religion is a construct, tied to man-made ideology is what I would say, So people always try to say, well, you're religious, aren't you? Well, no, because religion is tied into an understanding of the world, whereas we're specifically called for intimacy with God, a relationship with Christ. So you're not in church, you're not religious, you're not a Christian. Well, God doesn't look at my heart and say, did you step into this building every week? Oh, you're better in my eyes. No, God wants intimacy with me. He wants to know that I believe in him, I trust in him, and I take him upon his promises in his word. So I'm not going to sit here and let the world dictate how I move in my relationship with God. That's why you see more and more people not going to church. Now, do I advocate for that? No. What I'm saying is it may not be for everybody. Everybody's got their own mission and purpose. Everybody has their own path in light to who God created them to be. You know what I mean? So I say that to say, as long as you have intimacy with the Lord, read his word, follow his expectations, because we are the body of Christ. We are the church. It lives within us. We're supposed to spread his message in the gospel far and wide. It's not about stepping into a space or a building so that I can hear the preacher preach and I learn more. Because if you're versed in the word, if you're versed in your relation in with God's expectations, and you have a solid foundation and relationship with God, and you're faithful and you're obedient, that's all that's expected. God's going to do the rest. It's not about what things look like and how many times you're in church every Sunday. Some people depend on church because they don't open their Bible at all. I need to go to church because the pastor's going to give me a few gems this week. Well, guess what? You can find those gems every single day in your walk with Christ. So quit thinking that it's about these establishments. You know what I mean? Like, if God is of the spirit, he's of the spirit. He's not of flesh and things of the world. So quit trying to conflate all these material things and these things of the world tied into what would actually, I guess, gain you favor in God's eyes. That's not. God just wants you to pray, dedicate your life to what he's expected of you, and tell other people about him. And obviously, grow some fruit. You know what I mean? Spread the fruit of the spirit, man. Just love people. Love is the biggest thing, man. Love is the biggest thing. So that's all I got to really say about this. Things like this don't tend to work out well when, Jesus is made a mockery of, man. There's countless stories to where people made a mockery, and Google it. So I just think we're living in a day and age to where, there's a lot going on to where you have to be spiritually sound. And if you're not, get accustomed very quickly. You know what I mean? So peace, love, prosperity. God bless y'all, man. At the end of the day, God has the final word. God has the final say, and everything is seen. Everything. Everybody will have to answer for things that they've done, me included. I'm not acting like I'm a saint. So at the end of the day, just hold yourself accountable and just be a better person each and every day, man. Peace, love, prosperity. God bless. We'll see you on the next video. We out.